Hi Year 7, thanks for joining me for another violin and viola lesson, lesson 3. We've got lots to get through today. If we're lucky, if we manage to get it through it all, I really want to introduce us to our bows this lesson. So without further ado, can we please start by getting our violins or violas and getting into rest position, left hand on left shoulder, resting it on our left knee. Fantastic. Okay, the first thing I'd like to do, as before, is I want to just do a very quick warm-up. We did really well at converting our Kadai rhythms last time to a little warm-up pattern. So I want to do the same thing, but going on to a more difficult pattern. So we're going to look at the yellow box today. The very first thing I would like you to do, as we would do with anything we look at from now on, is follow the practice routine. So I would like us to Kadai the yellow box, then we're going to say the note, then we will say it and pizzicato it, and then we will play it. So I'm just going to give you 10 seconds just to look at the yellow box and see if you can figure out what the Kadai sounds would be. Okay, after 4, let's see if we can say the Kadai for the yellow box all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ti, 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 ta, ta. Very good. The next stage is to say the note. Now for today, what I'd like to do, just to challenge you even more, is I would like to actually play a combination of notes. So what I suggest we do is for the first bar, so that's everything up until this vertical line here, we're going to play on our D string, and then for everything after that bar, so in the second bar, we're going to play on the A string. So let's now try and say the rhythm, but instead of using our Kadai sounds, we're going to use the names of the notes. So D's up until the bar line here, and A's afterwards. Let's try that after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 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 A, 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 A. Let's try that one more time. I nearly forgot then. So let's try that one more time, just so we're really clear what we're doing there. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 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 A, 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 A. Excellent. And then the next stage is, of course, to say and pizzicato. So we need to come out of position 1. We need to go into position 2, wearing our violins and violas as a hat, sliding it down our left side of our faces, turning our head to look down our instrument. And after 4, we are going to say and pizzicato. So position 3, forming an L, thumb on the corner of the fingerboard. Now a reminder, if you're on a violin, we are starting on the D string. So looking at the diagram in the left-hand corner, you want to go to the 2nd string along. Violas, you want to go to the 3rd string along. Let's try that yellow box, saying and pizzicatoing. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. D, 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 A, 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 A. What we want to do is we want to make sure that where we have a rest, where we have a ma, we want to stop the sound on our instrument. So the way to do that is with the finger that we use to pluck the string, we just dampen the string just to stop it from vibrating in that rest. So like this. We don't just hit it, it's just lightly touching it to stop the vibrations and therefore stop the sound. Okay? So let's try that yellow box one more time, making sure that we are stopping the sound in the rests, so it definitely doesn't continue throughout. D, 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 A, 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 A. The 4th step in our practice routine is to just play it without saying the notes as we pizzicato. Another tip I want to give you is so that we make sure that we're still keeping that rest really clean. Instead of saying ma while we're playing, what we can do is we can just do a short inhale as though we're breathing in quickly, almost like you're sniffing. And that will help you to make sure that we're all playing the rest at the same time. Let me demonstrate it first, and then let's see if we can try it together. I'll count myself in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how it works. Should we try that together? After 4, all together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. If you didn't quite manage it, pause the video, rewind and try it again until we get it absolutely right. Okay, so now we are warmed up and ready to recap what we did last lesson. So you'll remember that last lesson we started looking at our very first piece of music. We looked at Willow, Waltz, which is the first piece in your Vermouche books, and we got as far as playing it along with the backing track. So I'm hoping that what we can do today is we can just do a quick recap. So the very first thing I would like us to do is to say the notes while we play them. So we are actually cheekily skipping out the first two steps just because we spent quite a long time on it last lesson. Okay, so instruments up into playing position, position 3. Our fingers need to be on the D string, so refer to the tables. Violins, the second string along from the left, violas, third string along from the left. Let's get ready, and after 3, we're going to play through it while singing the notes. 1, 2, 3. D, 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 A, D, G, D, A, D, 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 A, D, G, A, D. Very good, and I'm sure you all remembered that slightly awkward moment on the last line where you have to miss out a string to jump up to the A string. Okay, let's straight away try and perform it along to the backing track. And don't forget there's a little bit of an introduction, but I want us to play it without saying any of the notes, just to see if we can perform it straight away. Fingers on the D string, after 3, 1, 2, 3. Up to A, second line. Third line. Last line. Now back to the A string, back to D, and into rest position to finish off. Very, very well done. If, again, as with anything, okay, we're ready for our next piece. Now, we're going to skip a piece and we are going to jump straight ahead to piece number 3 in your Vermouche books, which is called St. Anthony's Chorale. Now, I know that with Miss Bissell, you've looked at how to read notes on the stave and you're just starting to build up your knowledge on that. Now, as string players, as violin and viola players, we've actually got a sneaky little bit of a head start on the flute players and the woodwind players, because from the very start, we need to know what 4 of the notes are because we've got 4 strings. So even if we don't know exactly how to read or write these notes on the violin and viola, we do know if it's particularly low, it's probably a G or a C, and we've got that kind of idea of where they are. When we are tackling any new piece, we are still going to follow the practice routine. This will become just embedded in our daily lives whenever we're tackling anything. So as you know, the very first step is to kadai. So we don't need to stress out about what the notes are. We don't need to worry about reading the notes. We just want to worry about the rhythm. So can I ask you to figure out what the kadai sound is for the whole piece? The reason I'm only going to give you 10 seconds is because some of you will have noticed that actually the rhythm for the first bar is the same as the rhythm for the whole of the piece. So once you've figured out the rhythm for the first bar, you just need to repeat it for however many bars there are in the piece. So 10 seconds, see if you can figure out what that is. Good. And now what I'm going to do is after 4, we are going to say the kadai sound just for the first line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, 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 ta. Simple as that. It's just a note and then a rest for the whole piece. So that's easy enough. We don't need to worry too much about that. The next step is the tricky part. In Willow Waltz, you'll remember that the notes were written out for us. We didn't have to worry about reading them. Now that we're already getting more professional, we've got actual notes on the stave. However, as I've pointed out already, you already have a good knowledge of 4 notes. On the violin, they are G, D, A, and E, and on the viola, C, G, D, and A. So the first note, you just need to try and match it up to the table at the top of the page and see if you can figure out what they are. So for violins and violas, it starts on a D string, which is what we started the warm up on. I'm going to give you 30 seconds now. Use those 30 seconds to see if you can say the notes for the whole of the piece, remembering you're starting on a D, and I'll give you a clue, it also ends on a D. 30 seconds, off you go. Okay, after 4, let's see if we can sing through these notes together. Starting on a D, 1, 2, 3, 4. D, D, G, D, A, D, G, D, A, D, D, G, D, A, D, G, D, A, D. Did you get there as well? I'm sure you did. Hopefully we ended together. It's a bit strange doing it without a backing track because it's hard to get a sense of what the tune actually is, but that's why we've got the practice routine. So no matter how uncomfortable it feels, we're still doing it accurately. Okay, so the next stage is of course to do exactly the same thing again, but this time we are going to play the notes while we sing them. So just while we're learning it, I'm going to play a line, you're going to play it back. So I will sing and pizzicato the first line, and then it'll be your turn straight away. Okay, so make sure you're ready. Instruments up, playing position, first fingers in our right hand on the D string, violins, that's the second string from the left, violas, that's the third string from the left. Here we go, me first. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, D, G, D, A, D. Now you. Now listen to me play the second line, me. G, D, A, D, D, G, D. Now you. Now me for the last line. A, D, G, D, A, D. Now you. Rest position. Very good, well done. Okay, let's try and do the same thing but all the way through this time. So instead of me going first and then you joining in, let's play it together as one big group, as one ensemble. We'll say the notes and pizzicato them for the whole piece. Okay, instruments ready? Starting on the D string, top left hand corner. After 4, we're singing and pizzicatoing. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, D, G, D, A, D. Next line. G, D, A, D, D, G, D, A, D, G, D, A, D. Rest position. Very good, well done. Okay, once you have practiced that and you've gone through those first 3 stages of the practice routine, it would normally be time to play it along to the backing track. Now with this particular piece, it is a bit difficult to get a sense of how it goes with the backing track without hearing it first. So what I'd actually like us to do is I'd like us to redo this third step, singing and pizzicatoing, with the backing track before we perform it, just so we can get used to it. I'm going to just mention a couple of things to watch out for. The first thing is to remember that in the rests, there should be silence, so we need to stop the string from vibrating. The second thing is that when you get to the end of each line, it goes to the start of the next line, and that can be quite difficult. You can feel a bit rushed sometimes. So my hint to you is to always look slightly ahead. As soon as you've finished reading one note, you jump ahead to the next one. You don't have, your eyes don't need to read the rest, as it were, because you'll get into that habit quite quickly. So always reading ahead and making sure that you're stopping the string from vibrating. Okay, so let's try this together, listening to the backing track and singing and playing along. So instruments up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ding, ding, G, ding, A, ding, G, ding, A, ding, ding, G, ding, A, ding, G, ding, A, ding. Beautiful. As with before, you can go ahead and pause the video and redo that step as many times as you need to. But for those who are ready, we are now going to perform it properly. No singing along, no saying the notes. The only thing we might do is this sort of small, quiet inhale in the rests to make sure we're definitely including them. So show me your best playing posture. Position 1, position 2, and position 3. And then listen out for me counting you in. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Last line. Very good, well done. And when you're really confident with it, maybe you can share this new piece of music with the people you live with at home. Okay, as promised, we are looking at our bows. So what I would like you to do is to put your violin to one side carefully. And I'd actually like you to see if you can find a pen or a pencil lying around. So I've got my pencil here. On the screen, you'll see a diagram of the different steps we can go through to hold our bow. The first thing I would like you to do is to take your right hand, and I'd like you to put it in front of you so that you can see the palm of your hand. Once you've done that, I would like you to put your thumb across the front of your palm, still with you looking at it, across the front of your palm, and put your 2 middle fingers over so that they meet the tip of your thumb. Now this is slightly different to the diagram on the screen. It makes it look as though your thumb goes straight across like that, but actually that can cause quite a lot of tension here. So your middle 2 fingers come down to meet the tip of your thumb, so that you can see that the tip of my thumb is sort of in the middle of my 2 fingers there. Okay, and this is kind of, we're trying to create a bunny rabbit. So we've got the sort of mouth here, got the teeth here, and these are the floppy bunny rabbit ears. We don't want these to be straight up like that. That's going to, again, cause a lot of tension. It needs to be nice and rounded and relaxed. Rounded and relaxed are the magic words of playing the violin. And then in order to transfer this onto our pen or pencil, we need the bunny rabbit's mouth to open. So the teeth lift up, and then you can put your pencil there, resting on the tip of your thumb, with your middle 2 fingers then going over the front. So I'll do that again. Balancing on the tip of your thumb, middle 2 fingers over the front, and we've still got the bunny rabbit ears here. Okay, I would do that a few times. Take the pencil away, show me your bunny rabbit, open the mouth a few times, put the pencil there. At that point, you can then just make your bunny rabbit ears just fall into place where it feels natural. So it should feel as though this first finger can just kind of fold over the front a little bit. And your little finger, your pinky finger, just sort of taps on the top there, like that. And there are a couple of things I would do while I'm doing that. I want to be looking out to make sure that there's definitely a hole here. And the only way that I can create that is by making sure that my thumb is rounded and relaxed, not straight or collapsed, rounded and relaxed. As soon as it's straight, you can see that it causes tension down here. Okay, rounded and relaxed, there's no tension. All of the other fingers need to be rounded and relaxed, especially your pinky finger. Okay, and it should be tapping on the top. It's not going around the end there, it's just on the top there. And at that point, you can get people to take the pen away from you. You can get them to put it back in. It should be, I always test this in my lessons, if I can take the pen or pencil away from you, then you get a gold star for having an excellent bow hold. So try that a few times. And then what I would like you to do is to put the pen or pencil down. I would like you to get your bow. And we're just going to do exactly the same thing. So using your left hand, the one that's not involved, you're just going to hold the wood of the bow, hold it horizontally. This part here is called the frog. Who knows why? It's called the frog of the bow. And this is basically replacing the pen or pencil. So show me your bunny rabbit. Making sure everything's rounded and relaxed. Open the mouth, but this time your thumb is going in here. Just there. Doesn't have to be right against the frog, it's just in that little bit there. And then your middle two fingers, the bunny teeth, just go over the front here. And then you can see that my first finger, again, just kind of falls in place with my little finger on the top. Loads of people naturally try and put their little finger around there. Don't want that. So then again, do the same thing. Get someone to take the bow away from you. If they can do it, then you've got a good bow hold. If they can't, then you're gripping it too much. It should be rounded and relaxed. I would do that a few times, and then I would also practice bringing your hand from the top, landing it on the bow, and then just trying to gradually change it into a bow hold. And as with before, making sure that you've got a hole there. It's very difficult to demonstrate this, caused by a rounded and relaxed thumb. Like that. I'd reach your bow up and bring it down. And I'd do that a few times without elbowing the chair next to you. I would hold your bow vertically and go from vertically to horizontal to vertically to horizontal. I would do the same thing, seeing if you can do it just with your thumb, index finger and pinky finger. If really careful, you could try doing it without your index finger and pinky finger. And then there's lots of exercises you can do, and I'd like you to practice these as part of your homework. So once you've gone through those steps a few times with the pencil and then transferring to the bow, you try the windscreen wipers. So that's going from horizontal to vertical, horizontal to vertical. And then you try and walk your hand up the bow as though it's a spider. But the challenge is everything, including your thumb, or especially your thumb, has to be rounded and relaxed the whole time. And it's a good idea to practice this holding your bow over your bed. That way, if you do accidentally drop it, it's not going to damage it at all. Try not to let it just drop through your fingers, because that's cheating. And then the real challenge is doing it the other way around, so kind of extending your fingers and then doing this, but again, trying to keep everything rounded and relaxed. And again, holding it over your bed so that you're not going to do any damage if you do accidentally drop it. Good. At that point, I would also practice, again, holding it vertically, straightening your fingers, and then bending them. Straightening, bending, and you'll notice that's basically pushing the bow away from you and then bringing it close. So in terms of what I would like you to do this week, there are three main things. As we did last time, I want you to revise those positions 1, 2 and 3. Rest position, violin going down the side, viola going down the side of your face, and then on your shoulder, looking across, and then 3, getting your hand ready for pizzicato. You can't do enough of that in front of a mirror, making sure you're being really strict with yourself to follow the proper positions. And I'd like to practice this new piece, St. Anthony Chorale, along to the backing track. Now you can go through this video as many times as you'd like, to make sure that you've got the notes accurate. And then the third thing I'd like you to do is to revise that bow hold, doing those exercises we looked at today. And as before, if you can do maybe 3 sessions of practice for maybe 10-15 minutes each time, then you will be doing very well indeed. Okay, happy practicing everybody, and thanks for joining me for the lesson.